It is April 10th, 2019. We are the Advisory Committee on Sustainability. It's 12:30 in room 206. We'll call the meeting to order. A few minutes late at 12:36 p.m. First item on the agenda is to approve the past minutes, which we did not get, so we might have to punt on that until next.
They didn't go out the day of the last meeting?
Oh,
Or did you get them?
Yeah, I sent them out day of.
I usually catch that in my sweep when I do the agenda. Can I take a look at them?
Sure.
Did you have any comments?
No, they look good to me. I mean,
Well, if they look good to Carolyn,
I know,
they've got to be
you
good.
know what?
If they look, you're right. They look
You
what I
didn't
thought.
read them thoroughly. You read your part, yeah. Okay.
I only read it.
Food scraps, perfect.
Yeah.
Did I change the heading and name us properly? Because Donna told me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Do I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion. that we approve the minutes.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Minutes are
Aye.
approved. Okay. Recycling. Carolyn, do you want to take over 2A?
Sure. So food scrap recycling. So since October, we have collected a total of almost 14. We've diverted a total of almost 14 tons of food scraps from the waste stream.
How much?
Actually, 13.81 is our.
You knew she had the real number.
Yeah.
Since October, you said?
Yes, and remember last time I mentioned that there was one figure that seemed not right because it was over a ton?
Sorry, I've got one microphone that's not working. So I'm going to try to do you with one.
Which one is not working?
Which one? I'm pretty sure.
This one's working?
Pretty sure that it's not working.
Oh, this is
Oh, well,
yours? Oh, there you go.
apologize for interrupting.
That's all right.
So, do you remember last month, I mentioned that there was one figure that didn't seem right?
It seemed off, yeah.
It was like 1.5 tons, and it just didn't seem right. So I talked to Cindy about it, and she investigated, and as it turns out, one of the curbside's wheels wasn't on the scale.
Oh.
So some reason it didn't weigh properly.
If it was going in and the wheel wasn't on the scale, but coming out, the wheel was on the scale, we would have had a lot more weight.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what she did is she took the prior, 4 months.
And just averaged them.
And averaged them, so instead of being 1.5.
So you think the 14 tons is an accurate 14 tons, so fairly accurate?
The 14 tons is, whatever I said, it was 13.81 tons, that is accurate, yeah. So we've diverted that much. As far as kits go, we have received our second batch of the countertop bins. We're still waiting for the larger ones. They should be in transit this week, actually. We're getting 200. They actually had, we had ordered 210. They're going to give us the same price for 200. They just asked if we could take a few less because there's been such a huge demand.
Oh,
so, yeah, and they come from the UK, so it's not like they can just get them here really fast.
Yeah, got it.
So we should be getting those. So I think, as soon as we get our new set of kits, I mean, we still have some, but we don't have enough to do volume selling at the recycling center. But I think as soon as we get them, now that the weather's getting nice, we should start doing that again. Targeting different days. And then I also talked to Cindy about, different times when maybe if anyone else is interested in doing this, just setting it for even an hour at a time in the hallway when people are out the door getting their dump stickers.
Yep.
We can sell some that way. So I think we're okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Are we going to do the compost giveaway?
Yes. So I got figures from both New Milford Farms and Quantum, because I
Yep.
hadn't thought of Quantum. Quantum's a little bit less, so
Oh.
we can talk about, which one. We had discussed not doing it around the weekend of Earth Day, just because it coincides with spring break.
And
So
Easter.
we'll have to pick a weekend when we want to do it. I was thinking either the last Saturday in April or the first Saturday in May.
Okay,
And then that way everyone will be back in town, so people won't feel left out.
let's do it.
Okay?
And I'm sorry, we're going to be doing this,
I guess we're going to call it, instead of an Earth Day giveaway, we'll call it a spring giveaway, spring compost giveaway.
Yeah, garden compost giveaway, I don't know.
Okay, so
Or
that
like-
sounds good.
and this will be done where?
At the recycling center,
In the vicinity of the food scraps.
yes. And people will be able to take a bucket of it home. And it's not limited to people who bring food scraps. We're encouraging anyone to take it, because sometimes you pick up new participants that way.
We gave the Greenwich Conservation Commission a tour of our food scrap recycling.
Yes, yes. And they actually had a big program the other night, sponsored by one of their garden committees, in the auditorium at the Greenwich Library. It was really full, and they had all kinds of speakers, and it looks like they are, pushing full steam ahead with trying to get a program set up. There were a lot of people that were interested in that, setting up a program. So,
Okay,
and then the last thing is we have, because of our, the grant that we received from the Recycle CT Foundation, we have to submit a report by May 1st, and I have been working on that.
we're here to help proofread it when it's ready.
Okay, good. You will be asked to help proofread it. I'm not sure how detailed it has to be, like how long it's supposed to be. I've just been collecting the.
I mean, to me, again, it's like a roses and thorns thing. It's what worked, what was
Yep.
successful, what are you going to
How we
replicate?
spent the money.
Yep, how we spent the money, and then what didn't work, and, or what.
What we see for the future, and we
Yeah.
can also mention that we've been, giving tours to representatives from other communities and that sort of thing, so.
Okay, and then you went and toured Quantum's anaerobic digester.
Yep,
And where is that?
Southington,
Okay.
yeah. Do you want to talk about it, Christine?
I can if you want. It was fascinating, and it's, I don't know, jump in, tech facts. It was, their operation is amazing, how it's just almost a zero waste facility. So how they sell power back to the town of Southington, to the police station, to the town hall. There's no emissions. I mean, only when you walk into this one little thing does it smell.
Yeah, it was
and it wasn't
super
that bad.
clean.
It was really clean and
Yeah.
just well organized, and I was really impressed with how they put it together and how he talked about they got the financing and it's more of a grassroots operation versus a corporation coming in and do it, which is why the other anaerobic digesters have sort of failed in Connecticut.
Yeah, and it's also like a success of the Green Bank too.
Oh, they help finance it.
They helped some of it, yeah.
And it's the only anaerobic digester, did he say the whole East Coast? I think there were only like 20-something or 30 of them in the whole country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they take food waste. You have to pay to tip your food waste there, but probably less than you're paying to tip at something like Wheelbrader.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
an
it's
advantage.
less than MSW.
Okay, so it's an advantage to tip your food waste there. Then they put the food waste through their process. They generate the compost, but then they also generate methane.
And
then
natural
they
gas.
so they have like a generator on site
Yes.
that produces power with
Yes.
that
And then they
natural
sell
gas.
that back to the grid. So they make money from their tipping fees, what they sell back to the town, and their compost that they sell.
Yeah, okay.
So it was a fantastic operation.
Cool. And are they, how much material are they collecting, and do they need more? Like how much can they tolerate?
Yeah, they take,
What's their
they get
capacity?
a lot.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like, but I mean, it's like grocery stores or restaurants or.
Do you want to take a
both.
quick look at that? That has like all the main statistics on it.
40,000 tons per year of food waste diverted. municipalities, hotels, colleges and universities, food processors and transporters, grocery stores, restaurants, hospitals, sports arenas, commercial buildings, large offices, and residential complexes.
And I asked him how, like I said, you probably have no idea how Darien's, food,
Yeah, is it clean? Is it,
Yeah.
And he actually does have an idea, and he said that we do a good job. So, yeah, he said that we do a really good job. Yeah, and I asked, at the event in Greenwich the other night, I ran into Nick from Curbside Compost, and I asked him specifically, like, well, why do you take our stuff to Quantum? Because it's further away than New Milford Farms. And it's just, it's what I suspected, which is just the route that they have that particular day. So
Okay, yeah.
we always have to, we always have to anticipate that our stuff could go to any 3 of these commercial composting facilities. It really just depends on the route, like he
the
mentioned.
ease of the people
Yeah,
transporting
they come
material.
down from Wilton, and then they come here, and then they actually go to East Haven, and then they go up. So it's just
Basically,
the
driving
route.
by.
But I would say from
Yeah.
a from a point of the sustainability, that we would want to encourage him to go to Quantum, because the New Milford Farms produces methane. It just goes into the environment. It's actually
Because
Yeah.
of the compost
because
process,
of the compost
you are
process.
off-gassing.
Yes, you're off-gassing.
Yeah, it's
And they
interesting
don't, so.
because at New Milford Farms, they do the windrow composting, and so they mix the brown and green matter together before it composts. They do exactly the opposite at Quantum. The pellets come out from the food waste, and then they mix in the green and brown, they mix in the green material with it after that to make the compost, so it's the reverse. It was very interesting.
Did you say there are 30 of these across the country, Quantum?
Around 30, not Quantum.
Not
No,
Quantum.
that's a
Just
similar
anaerobic
operation.
digesters.
And
in
this is
general.
one of the most state-of-the-art.
So this is only one of theirs.
He only has
They
one.
only
has
have the one,
Very
yeah.
interesting.
For the time being. And he actually sent me a couple of videos that I can put on our Facebook page.
Did he know about the approval in Bridgeport that we had long heard about?
Yep.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he knows all about it. That
It's
was,
not him, it's not them.
yeah, it was an issue with the site itself, with brownfields.
Oh.
And then I think he mentioned there's been a total of 3 or 4 that have been permitted by DEEP, and financing is the issue for
No,
some of
basically,
the others,
they
like
probably have
Turning
to
Nerve.
prove that they're going to have enough stuff to be able to run the model.
They're very expensive to build and to maintain, so, yeah, they have to have their financing in order. The financiers have to know that they're going to be able to run it
Succeed,
long-term.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there's certainly a lot of food waste around, it's just a matter of collecting it.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, great, thank you for those updates. Now, on what's in, what's out, the what's remaining on my recollection there is getting the back page
Yep.
done.
And I did a draft of it that I can,
Okay.
I'll have everyone take a look at it.
So this is to go to Sophie and have her do her thing with it, but this is just to get the accuracy of information.
Yes. And what I really struggled with here was, as you recall, on the back of our original one, we listed items not included in single stream, and we
Yes.
actually listed the very items that weren't included because there were so few of them at the time.
Yeah, now it's more.
Now it's a lot more, and
So I think you have the right idea, which is point them to the what's in, what's out list.
Yes.
And talk about what's different.
yes.
So I think that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, so for example, I didn't think it was worth mentioning mirrors and Pyrex and razors and not mentioning the,
Yeah, I think
80 other
people do that.
things.
Yeah, and do the big ones.
Right.
Should you say plastic bags or plastic bags and films, and flexible films or
oh, yeah.
Flexible
Yeah,
plastic,
sure.
including flexible plastic, including bags, films, and
Yeah.
wrappings or something,
Yep, I can do that. The other thing that I was thinking is I frequently look at the websites for other towns just to see what they're doing. And Greenwich, they have a full-time person who works on this, so theirs typically tends to be really good. And so what they did, in addition to, they took what we had talked about this before, of possibly doing it, and we decided not to do it, but they did do it. They took the what's in, what's out list, and they They personalized it to Greenwich. But then in addition, on their, because the what's in, what's out list is just very broad strokes, they also have something on their website that looks like this. And then they refer people from the what's in, what's out to that.
If you really want to go to the reference, you can.
Yes, which really gets into the nitty-gritty of what you can put in, what you can't put in.
Do you think this is consistent with ours?
Well, I think that we should consider putting this on our town website, because I think that people are going to look at what's in, what's out, and
then have questions.
There's a lot of questions.
Like the plastic egg carton, that's a great question. Well, that's it,
Well, My concern is that when we have the portion of the community that wants to actively participate in recycling, their confusion level right now is at an all-time high.
Yes.
So, for example.
That's why the what's in, what's out is good for them.
But let's focus on the big one.
Yeah.
What exactly is the definition of a plastic bag?
Any
plastic
film bag.
Any plastic bag.
What your broccoli, your frozen broccoli comes in.
Yeah.
What I'm reading both in the proposals in Stamford and Norwalk and New York State and here, a 9 mil bag, a 3 mil bag.
Hold on, stop.
Oh, yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
But I'm getting these questions and I don't have an answer.
Yeah, but the first thing that you're doing is mixing two different things.
Yeah.
You're talking about a bag ban. We're talking about not putting any plastic bags in single stream recycling.
Right. And my question is.
The two are not related.
But my question is, any plastic
Correct.
bag, 1 mil, 9 mil.
Correct. Any plastic bag.
Any plastic bag.
Anything that does this.
Yeah.
That's
All right,
not
so
rigid.
my suggestion is that reword this before it goes to Sophie and put the word any in block capital letters in front of plastic bags.
Okay, we can do
Because
that.
I've got, this is what I've written. No longer accepted are flexible plastics, including any bags, films, or wraps.
Yeah, see, this is where it gets confusing, because a plastic bag is technically plastic film. So the correct term is really plastic film, parentheses, plastic bags, dry cleaning bags, et cetera, et cetera. But because there are so many plastic bags in circulation, people tend to say plastic bags and film. But a plastic bag really is plastic film. Sorry, didn't mean to confuse.
No. I mean, yeah, you're right. We should say plastic films,
Yeah.
but no one will be like,
Right,
right.
yeah, right,
I think
right.
you have to, the wording has to relate to the reader, and the reader
Correct.
is the technical terms
Yeah.
are less relevant to your point. It is any plastic bag, and it is, and then separate from that, because it is, you can distinguish plastic films if you mean like in parens saran wrap, plastic wrap. So you're talking plastic bags, plastic wrap.
Yeah, I think the word,
Yes.
the phrase plastic film does nothing but make people stop reading.
So what do people use that they're throwing away? They're throwing away plastic bags, they're throwing away plastic
Wrappings.
They're plastic wrappings.
Yeah, so
So,
I mean,
I would just make
can I
the
go back
words be
to
that
say
way.
this? Flexible plastics, including any bags, films, or wraps.
This is
But it's confusing for my own family.
That's flexible.
Well, then, what's your definition of flexible? I would call that rigid.
Does not go in recycling.
Yeah, but it's not considered film.
I mean, the other, like stretchable, like.
Yeah.
But film is what it really, all these things are.
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Different thicknesses of film,
Correct.
sometimes used as a bag, sometimes used to hold toilet paper rolls together, sometimes.
So if it's not flexible, is it malleable?
Maybe
I
plastic film is the
think-
word,
I think
meaning.
you're trying, I think, and I don't know if we can, if deep gets in the way here, but right now, to me.
Nobody gets in the way, this is our document.
Perfect is the enemy of the good right now.
That's
I
right,
think
yeah.
that, I think that if you look at the average person who would just like to recycle, no plastic bag of any sort, no plastic, soft plastic wrapping of any sort. Talk to them in their language, not in deep
That's fine.
language.
Soft plastic makes more sense than film
Yeah.
does, too.
The word film, everybody under the age of 25 doesn't even know what film is. So
But I think
Well,
plastic,
it's photographic.
So let's move
It's
back
film.
to let's
I
move
mean,
back to
it's
big
wrap.
picture. So the front of our it's not this one, but the front of our flyer now looks something like this. The back again is going to look something like this
With those words.
with these words. And in addition, we're going to include somewhere on the DPW website or available at the counter the super detailed lists if you really want
Which
to
we will
find.
update periodically
Yes.
because things change.
And so we'll have a note, and I think we put that note at the bottom of the front page, but we should probably have a note on kind of all these pages, will be updated from time to time.
Okay.
To just let people know that this is not something that's fixed. and forever.
Subject to, yeah,
Changing market conditions.
yeah.
So I like where you're headed, I guess is what I'll
Okay.
say, and maybe I'm not the right wordsmither.
One of the things Terry just mentioned, Terry just said something that made me think of something that I had wanted to send an email to you and Ed on, which is that New Canaan at the library, the Planet New Canaan had sponsored Recycling 101 lecture. And do you know the Lamb Room downstairs at the New Canaan Library where
No.
they do? Oh, well, it holds how many? Like a couple hundred people, maybe.
decent sized room.
It was packed, and it was literally standing room only. They had a Recycling 101. On the panel, they had Jennifer Heaton-Jones from, HRRA. They had 2 representatives from City Carting, and then they had their Director of Public Works. And so each one went through and, they talked about their respective areas. There were a gazillion questions. People were so interested. People do want to do the right thing, as Terry says. And I think it was really helpful to everyone. And I'm thinking that we should do something like that because, first of all, I think we can probably get credit on our, for our application. And instead of we have, Ed or Darren from our DPW, and then I believe that we could have the, one of the same main people from City Carting, but in addition, one of the City Carting people was there because he's a New Canaan resident. I believe Andy from City Carting, who works at the facility, lives in Darien. I'm sure we could probably get him to sit on it, and then, one of us. And instead of Jennifer Heaton-Jones, because she's very,
What's out by the state.
right.
Story,
And we need to, so it could be like you or me or a combination of us.
A couple of us, yeah.
Yeah, and I really, really think that we should do this.
You have so much on your plate. Who wants to maybe reach out to Sally at the library and find out?
I have a thing to go find out about anyway, so I can see if we can get the community room.
Well, no, I think I was, I always think delegation, right? So the library is always programming stuff.
Yes.
And so by talking to Sally, we could determine whether or not the library is interested in kind of co-programming with us, they could help with
Which is what Planet New Canaan did up there.
they have their 6,000, email list, and they have, it's not just us getting a room and trying to advertise it. It would kind of be a library public information event that we could help populate and provide the content for.
Sure.
And so in addition to going through each of their areas, they then literally had samples of things, and they would hold them up and have people guess, where it went, and it was just really, really informative, and I think it would be really good for our residents to be able to, be able to have the opportunity to ask questions.
I would be happy to do that and do the little presentation for it.
I think that the key with that, and I know it was well attended, was it was extremely well marketed. And it was marketed through Planet New Canaan. It was marketed through, I believe, the New Canaan Library.
It was. That's where I saw it.
The different places that I saw it. It was marketed through Sustainable Fairfield County, because again, through that organization where people have their lists, the people that go to that monthly meeting say, here's what's going on in our community. So people are very interested. But the key to that was it took time to plan it, and it was very well prepared for. And kind of later on, we'll get back. I wanted to mention the climate, the coastal climate resilience. But again, that was extremely well attended by not only by people outside of Darien, because it was extremely well publicized. So
Yeah.
I keep coming back to sometimes.
But
we
to
do
Craig's
things.
point, if we co-partner with the
Exactly.
library.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. If the right mix gets the word out there, that gets people to come.
And we could get, the Land Trust and, Pollinator Pathway, like these other organizations to,
Yeah.
promote it through their
100%.
groups.
So let's see, start the process, and Christine,
Yeah.
thank you for
Sure.
volunteering. So back on what's in, when I like where you're headed, when we head back to the recycling center to promote food scraps, we got a recommendation if we should concurrently have some folks answering questions at the recycling center about recycling, right? Like stand there on a Saturday by the single stream, with a board that says "Ask me questions."
It's a great idea.
And we can keep each other company across the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, a lot of confusion, I think, about whether, where something goes. I sometimes stop people from doing things, but
I try.
Don't put that there.
But importantly, we need this flyer, right? Because we could stand there with a stack of 200 flyers and say, "Ask me questions. Here's the
Right.
new list."
Right.
And
We also
hand
need
those out.
DHW vests if we're going to do that.
Yes,
So we look a
understood.
little more official and they listen to you. Because I've had
Yes.
people at the recycling center.
Get away from me, crazy lady.
Yeah.
Completely ignore me.
Related to that, obviously, handing out a lot of paper, it kind of goes against
Yeah.
some
Right.
of what we want to do.
Yeah.
But I've often thought, wouldn't it be great if there was even a whiteboard and, and it was written on and it was stuck over by recycling and someone would have to put it inside at night or whatever, and whatever the message of the week is or the month, Remember, no plastics in here, or styrofoam not allowed or whatever, and very simple and inexpensive. It could just be a
I like that
message that
idea.
would get some,
Yeah.
it could be on cardboard and you could tie it to the recycling
Yeah.
railing.
Even better.
Might even
You know,
take a piece of cardboard out and
And write on it, I mean, just something where you're getting fast messages that don't cost us a lot
I'll
of
look at the
money.
swap shop, and it comes in, really.
Oh, yeah, that would
Yeah.
be great.
That's a good idea.
Not a lot of
Allows
money.
Volunteers to figure out if it comes in. Good. That's a
Something,
great idea.
reminder, no
Every Saturday,
styrofoam
some-
is no longer
Right.
recycling. And
So-
that sits out there for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it falls apart and it's
That's a
gone.
really good idea.
But even like long time items, like I stopped someone from putting a dehumidifier in the e-waste the other day because of course you have to pay a free on recovery fee for refrigerators, freezers, dehumidifiers, and air conditioners, and so
Oh,
we should put it back in our
They were
box.
trying to
Does the
get, yeah.
dehumidifier have free on it?
Yeah,
It does?
it's on our
I
list.
had no idea. I know, I just saw that. I had
So
free.
if we are going to pursue this
Dehumidifier,
whiteboard
not
or
humidifier.
cardboard presentation, it's been my experience that people respond better to something that's posed as a question than as a statement. So rather than.
Did you know styrofoam's not included in single stream anymore?
Absolutely, yeah, it just sits
Well,
there for a week and then.
even more broadly, have them guess, like, where does this go? With a picture of whatever it is. I mean, that's much more effective in terms of getting people to
Someone has to be there
engage.
to answer though.
Well, that's the point, is, yeah. Anyway.
All
So
right,
there's lots to do.
there's lots to do. That's
It's a
it.
good
So,
partner with the environmental club, it's a lot.
item 2C, swap shop.
Swap shop. Swap shop's been very slow during the week, and that's due to the Boy Scout sale.
Yeah.
I guess people are, just.
We haven't started
putting in
drop-offs
their
yet.
Garages or whatever, and getting on over to the sale. But Saturdays are still, very busy, especially between 12 and 2. It's just crazy. So if Ed was here, I wanted to ask him to put up the signs that I originally had, the 20-minute signs, because I really would like to invoke the 20-minute rule.
Yeah, I think what would be
12
helpful
on.
is if you could write exactly the words that you want on that sign and the size you want the sign to be.
Well, I was thinking of the parking signs that we had originally.
Yeah.
When we went up there, there was.
Oh, like
there was
20-minute parking or something?
20-minute parking on each of the, or
Because
maybe
you think
2 or
people are
3.
violating it, or?
We don't invoke it until it really gets busy.
Yeah,
And then it
okay.
becomes a problem because they don't see the signs and they say, what do you mean 20 minutes? And then we try to figure out if somebody's been there an hour
Why would
15
they-
minutes.
why-
If you-
why is that
You
an
pick the
issue?
wrong person, they start saying, well, Johnny Jones is
Tiny
here.
parking.
You get,
No longer.
Yeah,
so
they argue.
Can't get into
the
this.
long-term, the most frequent complaint that we get about the swap shop is that the eager collectors will stay for a long time,
I just like, in.
waiting for
Here it
the
is,
next
goodbye.
cool thing to come in
Oh.
to take out, right?
Without getting too personal,
All right.
there are about 8 people that everybody in town knows.
Yeah, anyway, we don't have to go, I don't want to go into any farther, and I'm using very diplomatic language,
I
right?
just wondered
So-
why
so
parking
that's-
was an issue.
that's
That
why.
was
That's
my
why.
question.
And that-
I didn't know the answer to that.
And
Thank you.
although the purpose of the swap shop is to divert waste,
Correct,
so we don't care who takes it
Right.
or how much they take.
correct.
But the users that are dropping are.
Need room.
No, they just don't, they need room, they need a parking space to go drop and to do their own, see what's going on. But we've gotten several complaints that people that find someone immediately taking something, or the same person they saw taking something is taking something else, they feel like somehow that goes against what the higher mission of the swap shop is, to share
Right. Yeah.
usable
They're hovering.
things,
Right.
right? So even though
Okay.
the purpose is to divert waste, when people don't feel like things are being kind of fairly shared,
Yeah.
they
Okay.
get upset.
And people have complained
Well-
also that they don't like it when someone literally takes something out of their car.
Right.
And puts it into their car, never even went
I've
into the
heard
swap
people-
shop, yeah.
Yeah, people have complained
The
numerous
issue, though,
times.
is if we start to clamp down on people not staying there, then we have a full house every day.
It's a fine
And
line.
what do we do with all of it?
Right.
So I'd rather have the first premise that we want to get rid of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once it starts to get busy, like at 12 o'clock or there's a lot of cars coming in, then I'll invoke the 20-minute rule. I can say
Yeah.
at 12 o'clock on Saturday, and by the way, everyone, 20 minutes and you're out.
So anyway, my advice to you is to make Ed's job as easy as possible. You don't want him guessing at which sign you want and what it says and where you want it.
We'll put it.
Just put it together, say, we think we need 5 signs,
Yeah.
and we think they say this, and we think they're about, 9 by 12 or whatever they are, and you hand them to him,
Put
and
it
then he
by
can
the
send
wheel
that to a
stops or
sign.
whatever.
You know?
It's a safety issue at that point, because the people, my impression as a
Then they
town
start
person
parking where they shouldn't
is
park,
that
and then they're
the
walking
Yeah.
across things. And,
Backing into
Right.
people,
Yeah.
it's
And the
it's
other
tro-
issue
just
we
a-
have on, the other issue, the
traffic
big
problem.
issue we have on Saturday is that a lot of people don't want to go up to the top, and they start throwing junk.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff that's just awful. We don't always catch it. So at the end of the day, I mean, the poor, workers are just, and we are piling stuff out of there. So we really have to get better at, trying
Well,
to.
didn't we talk at one time about maybe limiting,
Like even closing
furniture
it.
and so
Well,
forth?
well, yeah, we talked about limiting furniture, but we talked about if it got too busy, we'd close it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just, if we can't,
We
Handle
if we
handle.
can't process
Process.
Saturday afternoons, then it's not open Saturday
Exactly.
afternoons.
Yeah. I think we'll have to start doing that if that's the case. But I'll invoke the 20-minute rule, see if that works. And if that doesn't, then we just close it.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, right? But,
Yeah.
it's run by volunteers, and we can't,
But the
if you
key-
can't
the
staff it,
key
you
is,
can't run it.
The more that gets out of there, the better.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely, but you can't have people backing into people.
yeah.
No.
I put final postcard on here only because I forgot to stop down and try to see what the final postcard says.
Didn't you
Maybe.
say you fit it all on?
He was going to fit the 2 sentences we wanted on the front,
Okay.
on food scraps and on revised single stream, so I just didn't grab a copy before I walked in here. Energy stuff. So we got some really great information. So Carolyn and I are going to be preparing a press release for our first 3 solar rooftops, one of which is on the rooftop of Town Hall here. And we're working with Tim Sadler at NCON to get some good information. And I found out through this email exchange that the 3 school buildings are going to be done this summer, and Tokenique's install is actually starting on Monday.
Oh, wow.
So it's not 3, it's 6 by the end of the year.
At Tokenique and
Tokenique, Got it in here, hold on. I'm reading his email. He put it in his email, I know he did. Tokenique, Holmes, and the Board of Ed administrative building.
Oh,
And they're all going to be done in what time frame?
He said by the end of the summer. And Tokenique and Holmes are pretty big systems, 149 kW at Tokenique, 134 kW at Holmes. So actually larger than small, they're mediums. But the rate's the same. We're paying 6.2 cents per kilowatt hour for energy generated, which is at least a third less than what we pay for our generation rate through the co-op, although I have an email into Kate to ask her what we're paying the co-op right now for energy generated. Over the life cycle of 20 years, these 6 rooftops should save the town of Darien over $1 million.
Over what period?
20. They assume a historic escalator on the cost of generating power, because what we pay is fixed rate, 6.2 cents for 20 years. Doesn't change.
That's what we pay?
That's what we pay. And so if you assume an escalator on what we buy, buying power from Eversource or Co-op, wherever we're buying it from, you get to over $1 million worth of savings. So anyway, Carol and I are going to do a press release on that. We already have people that are interested. Jim Cameron.
Just let me make sure I have the minutes right here. So all 3 projects are now complete?
So
the
the police station, the DPW garage, and the town hall are complete. The Green Bank has green lighted the police station and DPW, but they're not letting us turn on any of the systems until town hall is green lighted, and that's supposed to come any day now. It's a matter of paper, not physical work. But as soon as they get the green light on town hall, they will activate all 3 systems, which should happen, quote, any day now, end quote. We got some great drone shots from Jordan Lewis. I forwarded those around if you looked at those. Jim Cameron talked about throwing some of those videos up on Channel 79 once we have some data to
go with them.
Jamie does want to do some kind of
Ribbon cutting.
Mm-hmm. So once we have our PR statement, I think we go to her with it first and ask how she wants to manage that.
Sounds good.
I'm going to skip 3B, and now on to Sustainable CT. Kathy, we met with the department heads a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. And we went over in detail lots of things. Yes, we did. But May is like 3 weeks away.
Yes.
So, I think we can say that we're not getting a reasonably complete application in by then.
Well, and here's where I guess I have my notes and things. Let's start with that. I had a long conversation with one of the associates at Sustainable CT who encouraged absolutely submitting anything as complete or incomplete. And there were 2 reasons for that. The first is that it lets them know kind of where towns are at. Mm-hmm. Number 2, it lets them see if there's sort of problems with anything that's being, with the program, if it's they see things consistently. It provides them with a training vehicle for their, basically,
their intern, their staff and interns.
The readers that are going to actually, the certifiers, to see it and learn how to do it. And it wasn't really meant to be a report card. So there are several weeks. I meant to bring my computer and left it on my kitchen counter on the way out so that I could double check how many had actually agreed, were now listed as people that could update. I don't know, you all should have gotten an invite to do it, but you can upload things if you went through that process and were invited. So anything that any individual is working on towards their action steps could begin to upload. So I'm looking for people with any information to be able to do that. I'm happy to sit with anyone individually to do that at any given time. And whether it's the ones that Beth and Ken have or what you did with the first one. So any of them, I was trying to figure out how to play around with the even the event that was at the library last week, because that gets to point 2. I really tried to push them on what is a partner. And the real discussion was, if you have some connection as the town with the organization and can justifiably say you're doing something, so.
The Darien Library is a town building.
It's a
and
town
we give them
building,
$4 million
correct,
a year.
and we give money.
Something
The
like
Darien
that.
Nature Center is on town land
Yeah.
and they're rent-free.
Yeah.
Well, they
Or
rent it for a dollar a year.
yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they rent for a price. So there are ways that the town can take some of those events. So I was trying to figure out how to define one of those, and if it didn't fit into 1 through 9, to make it a 10.
Okay.
To put in, because we can put in a lot of 10s, and they could say they're not 10, they belong in 7, or it doesn't
Oh, I
count
see.
at all.
Right.
Look, we
yeah.
did this, we did this, we did this.
Yeah.
You tell us where it goes.
Right, tell us how it fits in.
So like
really
if you
good to know.
could justify that the event at the library, and I found that to be extremely fascinating and something we need to take a next step in Darien with. But so those partnership things I think are worth putting up. So
One thing I wanted to mention was, and I want to mention to Beth too, I'll send her an email, but I sent her an email on this. For any of us that have a task item, don't be afraid of the website. It is super intuitive and super easy to use. And once you start like, well, I'll just upload this document and I'll type this information. And so I want to encourage everybody to be authors and collaborators on your piece and getting stuff up there. And the second thing that relates to that, I want to encourage anybody to pick up the phone and call Sustainable CT and say, I was filling out 7.2 and I'm not sure what you mean by this, and this is what I have, or does this count,
Oh,
or should I,
okay.
and just,
So we can
and
just
just ask them,
contact them
like,
directly.
It should be.
Beth had this
Okay,
question,
yeah.
well, if you look at the Energy Star Portfolio Manager, like 5 of our buildings or 7 of our buildings throughout town technically rate higher than a 75 and would therefore be eligible to get an Energy Star rating. But then she read something else. Right now, the program's on pause, and they're not doing Energy Star ratings for institutional buildings or something like that, right? And so it was like, well, we can only get points if they're Energy Star rated, but I'm being told I can't get. And so the answer to her was, call and
Yeah.
ask Sustainable CT. This is what I'm running into.
and/or fill out the application with the documentation.
And let
And just
them
say
know
what, and
feedback.
just or
Yeah.
just
And then
or
they
just put
will-
right in there. I went to the Energy Star portfolio page. Here's a screenshot of what I saw. It's Tokenique School was an 82, so technically it rates, and here's the screenshot that said I can't get it. So here's
Right.
we think we
So
should get 5 points
I
for this.
think there's wiggle room, and that would be to the extent that anything that anyone has worked on is put in there for discussion purposes with the organization. They are busy, and it took a couple of days to get a call back, and there is an email as well. There's 2 or 3 of them that respond. So
That's good to know.
use. I mean, I'm happy to be an intermediary, but I'm not really a good translator if there's something specific. I do know relative
It also
to.
bottlenecks our ability to actually get things done,
Get
right?
things done.
Like if it's all has
Yeah.
to go through you
Right.
and then back up to the webpage.
Relative to, they gave me the name of an Eversource contact that's the Sustainable CT person. So if there's things related to
To energy,
Eversource,
we can.
I have
did
that
you get the
name,
name?
which is on my
Is
computer,
it
which is
Natalia?
not here.
I would like that
going to
name.
provide
I would
that
like
to
that
you.
name.
Is it Natalia?
I have no idea. I just, it
Yeah,
was
it would-
forwarded to
that would
me
make
that there
sense.
was
Yeah.
a sustainable, a person familiar with Sustainable CT. So if it's electricity related.
Send that email
things,
after the meeting if you can.
I will send it. I intended
Yes.
to be able to provide it to you today.
Yeah.
So that's the Eversource contract, submit anything, municipal partners. And the other thing is that there will be interns over the summer. They're hiring their fellows now. They'll be assigned to a certain part of the state. They're not hired yet, so the level of their
Interest,
commitment with
participation.
service is not clear. And the Sustainable CT will be accepting requests for interns or fellows shortly, but they haven't done it yet because they don't have their fellows in place. That's
Can we
ongoing
request
now.
one?
We
want
can.
to?
It will be a part-time, and it'll be shared with other communities
Yeah.
in the area. But there isn't a formal way to say. She kind of said, "I'm assuming everybody's going to want some." So,
Yeah.
But there was nothing. There was no way yet to say we would like to request assistance in filling out these applications this summer, and that should happen shortly. So that was another thing we spoke about. And an event that's happening. I intend to go. You're going to be in Hartford. At the same time, reducing our plastic footprint experience from the EU with DEEP, and it looks like a really interesting thing. And again, I don't know, it may get us points for participating or attending. I'm not sure, but it would be useful to bring back here for some of the other stuff, the what's in, what's out, and stuff. So it's right after the tour of the Capitol.
Okay.
Same day, same place. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know.
What
That
day
was
is it?
on the website. It's 4:25 in the afternoon. And it's got some people from global people that are presenting their
It's only like an
experiences.
hour long,
An hour
right?
long.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Coastal resiliency, or did?
the coastal resiliency that I did want to, was anybody, you were there? No. At the library, the coastal resiliency.
Sea level rise?
Sea level rise.
No.
At our library?
Yeah.
No.
Were you there? No, you were not
Last
there.
Thursday.
Last Thursday
No,
evening?
I was not there.
You were not there, okay. That was something else then. So the program was well attended, but not by Darien people, in my opinion. Greenwich brought their entire plan of planning and conservation group. There were people from Fairfield, Westport. The talks were from people from Nature Conservancy, from a lobbying point of view, with people that work with housing, people that are doing all the physics and geology stuff, and it was filmed on Channel 79. So again, that event is something that we should be able to, as a sustainable
Darien Library
event.
sponsored, published on Channel 79.
Yeah.
And I would encourage everybody to watch it. It was about an hour and a half. It was fascinating.
Okay.
It came down to the fact that the Nature Conservancy will do these resiliency meetings, and it became very clear that we definitely should and could do that. And I know there was an interest that came through our meeting with the people in town to do some watershed work or resiliency planning, and maybe that would be a way in. But I would like us to schedule out to try and get a commitment from the community to host a resiliency planning day. They come in, they talk about everything from water gardens, so that you put gardens in that the water doesn't go into the sewer, it's going into the ground, to long-term planning about what happens between now and 2050 and what a quarter of an inch of water means. It certainly affects all the work at Pear Tree Point, I would think.
Or like a foot of water. Were there any of the Pear Tree Point Building Committee members there?
I doubt it. I doubt it. So anyways, I would like to figure out a way to host that, host a Nature Conservancy related half-day resiliency planning thing for the town of Darien. And I even asked that as a question at the end, what would the town get? And he was kind of like, it's a really good idea to get your community to talk about these things, kind of thing, was the answer. So that's a longer term to do, but it would fit into Sustainable CT. And if you can watch the event, they handed out their report cards, and there was a lot of information. And I don't know how to, get that back to some of Jamie's staff as something that they can watch on their own.
Well, I mean, you can just take the calendar invite we had and respond to all and say, I thought this was fascinating, community planning, resilient, here's the link to the Vimeo, because all Channel 79's live streams are put on demand on Channel 79's Vimeo channel, so you can literally send them the link to the video in an email.
Okay, I did not know that.
I'll send it to you.
I'm still learning.
Everybody's learning. Not everybody knows anything else. That's the amazing part about this whole process, is that you want like 20,000 people in town to all know the same thing about the town, but it's all siloed, and you only have a certain amount of bandwidth as any one individual.
And ironically, a lot of the recommendation is at the very first, if you want to be planning, you make sure you have the proper insurance. And then there is what your town can do, and then there's what your community can do, and it kind of built on different ways that you can think about.
So we do.
Resilience in your
I'm
community.
sure that we do a lot of the basic stuff, right? But it'd be interesting.
And there is a resource that at no charge to the town will come here and have
go through that checklist.
Go through that kind of checklist for your community by looking at, because they have all the maps that you put up your town, and you know, it will show you with this much sea level rise or this much, and you can watch
Where
every
it
piece of
fills in,
property.
Yeah, I've actually done that.
Modeling.
I
So
have the topo.
that's a
We're not-
longer term to do.
In terms of, yeah.
But I think the event itself, I'm trying to figure out how to get that event into the system
Mm-hmm.
as an event that already took place that would qualify for sustainable CT points, but the
Yeah.
follow-on is some
Yeah.
of the stuff that they'd ask you to host a more town-wide conversation.
Anything else from your
I think
perspective
that's
right now?
pretty much-
Anyone have any updates on their little pieces that we talked about working on?
Well, I have to fess up, I've dropped that ball. I've been consumed with the Memorial Day Parade,
Of course.
and, yeah, I've been lax.
Okay.
I had a meeting with the Art Center head and found out some very interesting things, and I have some stuff to add to my 3.2.
Awesome.
And I've talked to the Friends of the Silix Woods dude, what is his name? Chris.
Filmer.
Filmer, thank you. And I talked to your friend, Sophie, and I've got some stuff to add in.
Great.
And I talked
And
to.
you and I have to
We have to work together. I also talked to Layla Whitmore
Oh, good.
at the Nature Center, and she wants to sit down and have an appointment, and David Genovese asked me to send him like the brochure and the links, and that he would meet to see what. how we're doing.
The one thing we have to do is have a meeting with BOE.
And yes, we are.
So we should talk about,
And Jamie, Board of Ed and Human Service Council, because that was that was the last thing at the meeting with the town. Jamie's suggestion was to get the equity thing, was to get the
Their
Human Service
opinion on who.
Council on where there might be a need, and use that.
so,
So is
I haven't
Layla
thought
the
of-
wildlife management 2.5?
She might be. I don't know.
Okay. Let's talk.
Okay.
I'd like to meet with her, with you.
Yeah, she's ready.
Make English sense? Okay.
so we'll talk offline about, you know, what we want to accomplish with the BOE and what we want to talk to them about, and then schedule that meeting. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I'll just schedule it, and that'll give us a deadline.
It will give us a
And then-
deadline,
and then
and I
we'll-
think
and
I
we
need
s-
to
then we'll
write,
find a time to
I
meet.
need to correspond with Jamie and her staff to figure out how to get introduced to the Human Service Council,
Okay.
because that I have not done.
Okay.
And I just want to ask, I gathered the information that my points, but I didn't realize at that point when I was raising my hand to connect to Aquarian regarding the watershed and the Gorham Pond, I didn't realize I was like also gonna get it into the system, so I haven't.
Yeah, so I did get your emails, and so I saw two things. Aquarian basically didn't give you anything. You know, they kind of said, yeah, you know, watersheds are important, but they didn't actually provide any information.
I didn't know
Yeah.
what you were exactly,
Yeah.
what the criteria you were looking for
So-
to satisfy those criteria.
Well, so what you can start with, I think it was, you were thinking that provide watershed education was something that maybe Aquarian would be interested in, and you had suggested that create a watershed management plan was something that maybe the Friends of Gorham Pond have done.
Right.
And so what you would do on item 2.1 and 2.2, if you go to the website just to get what you're supposed to do, you know, you can pretty quickly find, okay, on
I
2.1,
might have a copy.
it says what to do.
Right.
And then this is how you get the
read
points.
some of that.
Yeah, and so that's what would need to be done. And so what I saw back from Aquarian didn't do anything for us
I see.
initially, right? Wasn't the what to do. And then similarly, the
Did you
plan,
get
the
the
plan that the Friends of Gorham's
Right.
Pond forwarded was from like 1980 something.
But it still was in the
Yeah,
timeframe.
yeah, so, well, no, the action must have been completed within 10 years prior to application submission. So the one, at least I thought that was attached, that I had seen from Friends of Gorham's Pond was older than that.
No.
Oh,
Well-
it wasn't? I guess I gotta go back and look at
No,
it.
you've got several things. First of all, the dam itself by the town has been, was redone about
Yeah,
3 or
but
4
so-
years ago. And then the fish ladders were last year and the dredging.
Okay, those are great things,
Yeah.
but when you read the what to do, this is a good lesson. This is what it says. Conduct a natural resources inventory for a watershed. A watershed is blah, 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 you know, and so map and identify critical watershed resources, including aquifers, riparian corridors, wetlands, vernal pools, and headwaters. Map land uses and possible locations where pollutant loads may enter a watershed. So it's not like, hey, we did a fish ladder. It's do this.
But I think, but I do think they may have that, and I think the fact that the group did
Right.
some of this may get you some of those points.
I would-
And you don't have to do the
yeah.
whole town, but
I'm
if you,
just, like, right now, just so you
Yeah.
know, just like Terry's focused on,
Yeah.
I'm gearing up for Earth Week.
Oh, yeah.
I just did a
Yeah.
whole PowerPoint presentation on recycling, skip the straw.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Look,
meeting with, actually trying to coordinate with every elementary school, because some people just don't want to present. So I'm meeting with a Tokenique principal to actually do the presentation for them, so I'm just like a little bit like underwater.
we totally understand
No
that we are
pun intended.
all volunteers.
No pun intended.
We are
Yeah.
all
Not quite the
look,
watershed water, but.
we are all volunteers,
Okay.
and we can only do what we can do
And I just,
as volunteers.
no, I
So
appreciate
understand that.
you, like, I thought I fulfilled the actual, but I'm glad that you kind of
Yeah,
shared, it's
but-
not really what you're looking for. And
Yeah.
Chia also said that she had this document that she was gonna make a photocopy of, but there was only one original copy.
Yeah, and I thought I had, well, anyway, I'll go back and look at those emails again.
But
But
to your-
that was within the time frame.
To your point earlier about pick up the phone and call Sustainable CT, I would have to believe that both the town and Friends of Gorham Pond had to file that paperwork, most of that paperwork with DEEP just to get the permits.
So you have to, again, someone has to compile all the studies that were done within the last 10 years, read the what to do, go into the document and say, oh yeah, they did do a natural resources inventory. It's on page 32 through 37, a document titled this, dated this, uploaded here. And someone did do this, and you can find that in this document on page 10 through 27.
But if I heard
you know?
what Kathy said correctly,
Yeah.
if we can just access the original application and attach
Sure.
that and forward it to Sustainable
So-
CT without reading it and say, here it is.
well. you
No,
have to-
they're going to say, because it literally, when you are filling, so I've done this on the website with a couple of task items already. And so there's a place for uploading documents. And as Kathy and I talked about, you want to be careful when you upload that document to name the file intuitively. So now I'm going to take that PDF, I'm going to rename it Item 5.9, XYZ Watershed Study for Goodwives River, uploaded. And then there's two blocks. So you're giving us information on this task item. What points do you think you want to be asking for here? So you say, I think I should get the 5 points for this,
Okay.
and I think I should get the 15 points for that. And then there's another block that said, okay, with the documents that you just gave us, where can we find that information?
They're gonna say, go to page
Yeah.
3 to find that paragraph 2, because you have to understand that the certifiers are going to.
They're not going to like, oh, there's this
77
huge 200-page,
communities.
you gave us 17 200-page documents, oh yeah, you're done. You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, they need to know, if you look at page 7,
Could you point me to Mount Everest, please? I think I'd rather have a shorter hike.
well, you have to prove to them you've done what they're asking you to do, right? So I want to get us, we
Where's
have
my
to be very
Sherpa?
specific. We can't be like, you know, here's a list of things. We did a fish ladder, and we did a dredging project, and we did, you know, a wetland
Well,
restoration, we put up an osprey nest.
That may be
But-
the write-up. That may
Yeah.
be, as you write the explanation of the thing, our
Yeah.
community, Friends of
Yeah,
Gorham
what were the action
Pond
items, you know? We-
did this,
Yeah.
and there were 3 steps to it, and this is why we did it.
Yeah.
And the write-up helps the
Yes.
certifiers understand the context of what you're asking.
I'm not saying this to be pessimistic, but to be optimistic. It sounds to me like it's more likely that we are going to submit a highly imperfect application
course.
that's going to be rejected this year,
No,
and just so that we get into the game.
But what we're,
I
so, but the goal.
disagree. I really
yeah,
disagree
yeah.
with that, because there were towns where one person sat down and did the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they did it by a staff person for the town that did the whole thing.
Hmm.
Or you get an intern in here to come in here who has been trained on this and looks at what you've done and cleans it up.
But I think what
it
we
does
want to get off
require-
of is talking about it.
Right, you just have to
Right?
get in there and do it.
And that's the whole idea of making different people just the chairman of their task item 1.1.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, anyone can work this website. Anyone can go through, can find on the web available 7 documents and go through them and upload to them, you know, and then, so that's where we want to get to. Power in numbers. Anyway.
Well, one thing, can we get down to Gorham's group, or whatever, wherever it is, and task them to do it for us?
Well, again, you're also looking at a all-volunteer group.
No, I understand
That
that. They would have all
basically
the
has
information.
done
Yeah,
their
no, look,
work.
we want to, for lack of a better term, exploit any passionate volunteer or advocate, right? Anyone that's like my issue. Like, I do that, you know, like I am totally into invasive species management. You know, like I know I've gone
Do
to
you know
3
that
seminars.
person?
Yeah.
You need to talk
You
to
know,
them.
like, and like, I'll do it, you know, like, so it's
If they
just.
put it together, they know where all the information is. It'd be very convenient for them to just pull it together and give it to us.
Yeah. So, but we don't need ideas, because all the ideas are here.
Yeah.
We need to prove that we've done these things.
I think we have to delegate some of these to the people who are doing it, like Gorham's Pond.
Yeah.
Go there and sit with them and say, guess what? Why don't you help us with it?
Yeah, and that's part of kind of what Kathy and I have started. We started with the department heads with the town. We're going to go to the Board of Ed. You know, she's going to start meeting with more groups about it, and you know, kind of get the ask out there. Yep. All right, I'm moving on. Anything else on sustainable CD for anyone here? Item 5 is marketing, outreach, and education. We've talked about the solar PR, and you talked about the articles that you're writing for Darien Neighbors Magazine.
Yeah.
And basically saying they're not exclusive, and we're going to use them
I'll let them
anywhere
know
we
that.
want.
Okay, and then I will, I'll forward them to Darianite and.
I'm not sure if I emailed you guys.
You did.
Okay.
Go ahead. So you found a third party that's willing to take the plastic films. Is that what the email? Yeah.
Right, and also that there's a bill that passed by the state to eliminate plastic single-use straws.
That's excellent.
There
I
was
didn't
a
see that
vote.
one.
It hasn't passed the legislature yet, has it? It's just
The votes-
out of the committee, right?
But it was filed, and it's the votes are 26 said yes versus 6 saying no. So
That sounds like
it's
committee.
passed.
Or is that?
I think it's
Yeah,
the
this is-
committee, yeah.
And then this is the vote tally sheet. So 22, and it was voted on this date, 3/18.
Out of the environmental committee.
So, yes.
So the committee said, we think this should be brought to the floor for
Right.
a vote.
So if it's a Senate bill, it'll then go to the Senate, and when it's called for a vote, they'll vote on it, and then it'll go to the House, or vice versa if it's a
I
House
see.
bill.
Okay, and then this is what's been filed, all the, where it's at
Yep.
to date. Okay.
That's good, though.
Yep.
That's very positive.
And then there's an article that refers to this, as well as plastic bags and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, that just makes our job easier.
So,
Obviously, it's just-
that same, Craig, that same Recycling 101 lecture that I went to at the New Canaan Library, the director of Public Works said that they have set up collection. It's like remember I had sent the email around about the Trex.
Yes.
It's in conjunction with that program that you sent an email about. But they have collection bins at the recycling center, at the library, and at least one of the schools, but they're going to spread it to the other schools. But then they have town employees who then take it to the participating retailers. We would have to figure out, because we don't have town employees managing our facility.
I see.
Yes, so then you're asked,
So
anything
no one
that,
would come to our facility and actually get it from one of those?
No, they don't come and pick it up. No, you have,
and we've talked to City Carding about providing, because the material itself we know is recyclable,
yes,
it's just not good to put in single stream and then run through the sorter.
right.
We asked City Carding, well, can we just have a separate bin for all of these plastic films. And they basically said, well, at this point, we're not even gonna bail it, we're just gonna throw it out.
Yeah.
Because there's so little value to it for them to be able to do that.
Right.
It's unfortunate,
Very.
sad.
So we would have to, I think in New Canaan, the person who brings it from the library and the school, I think it's South School, is like someone from the Boy Scouts or something. Like it's a private person doing it as a project. And then they bring it to the recycling center, and then, or excuse me, they bring it to the participating retailers, and then the collection boxes at the recycling center are hauled by town personnel to the participating retailers.
Because I actually checked out one of the retailers, which was Walmart, on that. Walmart doesn't participate, like I walked into.
Oh, our Walmart, there's
our
a close
Walmart,
Walmart
they
doesn't
don't have
participate.
any-
And they're on the list.
And they're on the list.
I know.
emailed them and said, Walmart in Norwalk, Connecticut is no longer participating. Did you know this?
Okay, and what did they answer?
They haven't responded yet. I sent it yesterday.
I mean, it is, the reality, again, this goes back to changing market conditions. So even if people say, you know, we want to do that for our customers and we want to collect, you know, the stuff that we put out there, they could end up with a ton of plastic film
Right.
that they can't get rid of,
Right.
that they end up throwing away.
But I thought that if they were participating, somebody takes that off their hands.
Well, so just like a lot of recycling programs around the country right now, is if you're collecting more recycling than you can
Got it.
sell into the secondary market, you're left with garbage. That's what it is.
I'm driving around.
Yeah, you know, like.
Garbage in my car.
And so now there's someone that did email me recently on this. Wendy actually.
Oh,
emailed
Wendy,
me
yeah.
because she went and asked someone.
I think Target still does it.
Hold on. This is worth finding because there were a couple of emails back and forth. And I said, you know, I can't. It's like following the plastic bag to where it ends up. You know,
Right.
you can't. I don't know anymore. I can't tell you that you know it's definitely ending up in the right place. But we got to a point where she had done. Did she text me? Did she text me, Susie? Wendy.
Wendy Ward.
She used to be on this committee a few years ago. She was critical in getting textiles and light bulbs.
I have an update for you about the textiles when you're.
I'm gonna have to find the conversation.
Everybody loves
It's
it
relevant.
once out. My principal has it.
Oh,
Puts it
good.
on the desk, in a file
Good.
folder. All the parents loved it. It was really well received.
Good.
And I'm going to see how, it seems like
Messenger.
the schools really loved it too.
Good.
Well, I can't find it right now.
What
But she
did she
did
want?
ask, it was about, can I really get rid of this at a specific retailer? And she went and actually went inside, I think it was Stop and Shop.
Okay.
She went in Stop and Shop and said, you know, do you take the plastic bags and are you recycling them? And she said that they said yes.
Okay.
I might be making Stop and Shop up.
No,
I think that was the
I think you're right.
conversation. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah, they actually have a couple of boxes. They have a few in where you take your cans and
Yeah.
bottles, and then they have the one that's right by the front door. It might be inside the front door now. It looked like they moved it. And I'm wondering if that's the case with Walmart. Did you confirm with them that they no longer take them?
I didn't confirm with management. I went in and I asked,
Oh,
the
okay.
return desk, like, that's where those
Yeah.
bids
Yeah,
would be.
customer
but-
service, yeah.
I asked the
They might-
manager.
Oh.
They're not doing it.
They're not doing it, okay. So that, yeah, their list needs to be updated.
Plus we need a
All right.
market push for less plastic.
Okay.
Yeah,
I-
oh,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say, on a related issue, I finally got through to Use Again, and they only want and will only take usable clothing, shoes, linens, and accessories. They do not want unusable anymore, and our sign says unusable. And I mentioned, I said, when we set up this arrangement 5 years ago, or however many years ago, and she couldn't speak to that because she didn't work there then, but she said that they only want usable materials. So,
Now what do we do?
Then why would you bring it there versus person to person where you can get a tax write-off?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
convenience.
Convenience, really.
Convenience, yeah, but.
And a lot of people don't, a lot of people don't bother with that too.
That was your
Just asked
question,
me
right?
That was my
about
question.
Huh?
Yeah, so
Little girl
one of
in the
the
cafeteria just asked me about
people
that.
in town
About the use again
said that,
bins?
where do we,
Just the,
you know,
the
soiled
clothing, like you
or
can have a ripped pair of jeans.
ripped, what do we do with it? And
Do you
it's,
recycle
you know,
it?
recyclable.
Oh, you keep wearing it, that's in style.
Yeah.
Ripped jeans
Exactly.
Yeah.
are more
Like, you pay
more
extra
valuable,
value.
right?
But I mean, I asked her, for example, like if you have like a stained T-shirt, you know, she said, no, don't put it in. They don't want it. And
So,
So what
so,
does
So
that-
ripped or stained?
single
Yeah.
socks or things like that that could get into
Usable
cloth recycle.
clothing.
usable.
Usable clothes.
Yeah.
So why not get somebody else who will take it all? Because I know that Romarovsky Brothers and these companies that do it, they take the whole range of stuff and it goes in
Well, we
different
should.
directions.
We should be looking.
New
We only
Canaan-
have an annual, we only have an
Yeah.
annual contract with Use Again, so we can switch providers at any time if you find one that does take more stuff.
But the difference is that we get paid per ton, and like
Yeah.
New Canaan is using a company that takes everything, but they're not getting paid.
That's okay. Cost neutral is fine too.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I think that industry, when you're talking about market conditions with the plastic film versus the fabric, is starting to change from what I can understand. And I know of a program in a town in Massachusetts where they will give you 2 bags a week, and theirs is picked up, but you can put anything in these fabric bags, and
Yeah.
they will take it, and you're limited by the number of bags you're
Yeah,
allowed.
in reality, we were caught
Yeah.
flat-footed in the United States by losing our
Market.
garbage. The people
Yeah.
Right.
by the Chinese saying we don't want your garbage anymore.
Chinese aren't biting anymore.
And so hopefully the market will react and will create the facilities we need here in the
And
United
in the-
States to manage it.
And in the meantime, I think some of the fabric, the market for fabric may be increasing, not decreasing, from a few things that I've seen or heard
So
other
if
places.
you
So it's
want to
worth,
do research into
Yeah, if you-
providers for textile recycling,
Collectors.
that
That will
make more
take
sense.
anything, yeah.
That would be fine. We'd be interested in hearing that.
Do you know offhand when that annual contract with Use Again?
Ed would know.
Or Darren.
It might not even be annual. It might just, they're there and
Yeah.
we don't want them there anymore. We might be able to just tell them to go. I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
He negotiated rates with them, so it's really through Ed.
Okay.
How can I be on vacation?
How dare he take it?
How dare I take a vacation?
lucky guy. All right.
All right, are we ready to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, that sounded like a first, a second, and all those in favor of. Thank you, Channel 79, for all your hard work.